Senator Sessions, did you ever think in your life that we would be, was it 15 years after the attack on 9/11, 15 years, and we now have the second bloodiest assault on us in this, at least this phase of the war, this part of the war? Is it? Are we living in a Kafka novel? Do mature countries? We've been fighting this, Senator, longer than I think World War I, World War II, and the Revolution combined. Are we not a mature country anymore? Can we not identify our enemies and take action to protect our citizens, particularly, what is it, 53 young kids down there in Orlando that are butchered like hogs, and another, 50? They're in critical condition in a hospital?
Well, you're putting your finger on the key part of it. It does seem to me, and are we thinking clearly? Are we being realistic? Do we not understand the world we're in? Don't we know that it's the duty of the government of the United States to protect the people of the United States? While we provide religious freedom and protect it vigorously for anybody in America, we're not required to admit people from all over the world that may pose a threat to us. And we need to be serious about that. We don't have to admit anybody to the United States in an immigrant status or visa status if we choose not to. So what we should do is use good common sense, our best judgment, and be firm and clear and put aside this political correctness and get on with the essential duty of government, which is to protect its citizens.
The president, the commander-in-chief comes on today, though, and the whole media is almost like they're Sharia compliant. We can't even have we're talking about gun, we're talking about this bizarre stuff all day long. Why is it that it seems like our elites, the media elites, and our government is frozen? You can't even take action. You can't even have a discussion about it. How can we come up with an action plan? We can't just say, is what's happening in Washington, D.C.? Are we frozen? We've had many men and women on tonight that have worked in government and said, hey, you could identify this easily, you could take action, but it's frozen. It's not allowed to go forward. They make you get rid of the records. We had Filippini on. And last time I looked, the Republicans control the Senate and the House. We could have investigations of these executive branch departments if they're not doing their job. I think what's so frustrating, it is like a Kafka-esque novel. Why is it that we can't think rationally about this? Why is it that our leaders in Washington are not thinking rationally about this?
It's almost hard to conceive, but fundamentally correct. President Bush finally came around and acknowledged there was extremism, Islamic extremism, as a threat to the United States, but he was reluctant to acknowledge it. And now President Obama will not say the words, neither will Hillary Clinton, who would like to be the commander-in-chief of the United States military forces. Frankly, somebody who cannot understand the clarity of this threat, the need for honest talk about it, the need to protect America, is disqualified to be president. They just simply don't get it, and that's not acceptable anymore. This slaughter we've had in Orlando is just an exclamation point on the danger we face. We've discovered and finally got the Department of Justice to give us at least the information that they've convicted 570 people for terrorism-related offenses since 9/11. 580. Almost all of those, well over 90%, come from Islamic countries. We're not having threats from my Japanese immigrants. We're not having threats from the Netherlands. I mean, can't we get serious about this? Step up our activities. Hillary Clinton wants to increase fivefold the number of refugees from Syria and the Middle East, which can't be vetted. The experts have told us, their own officials have said they aren't able to do good vetting over what President Obama's admitting. So it's just out of touch with reality, Stephen. You're exactly right.
Senator Sessions, I hear what you're saying about Hillary Clinton, and I do agree. If you can't even use the word radical Islam, you're not prepared to be, nor should you be, commander-in-chief of our beloved armed forces. However, when you just tell me this on limiting this resettlement programs or immigration programs that President Obama wants, Paul Ryan, fully finances the omnibus bill that fully funds all this. They have this party at Davos conclave out in Utah this weekend with Mitt Romney and Paul Ryan, these guys. And the pious right sits there and mocks Donald Trump and you and Sarah Palin and Ben Carson and anybody else that steps over there saying those aren't, what you just said is not an American value. That's, and quote the pious Paul Ryan, that's not who we are as Americans. What say you, sir, to that?
Well, I don't understand what they're talking about. They're confusing, I assume, the right to be protected in your religious activities in the United States, as long as they don't violate plain law, as the Supreme Court has held. But if you violate law, you can be prosecuted. But fundamentally, we totally value, defend, and protect those rights. But we're not required to take anybody into America or, according to the statutory law, any class of persons who may pose a threat to us. I mean, how simple is this? What world are we living in? So I believe that we need to take this far more seriously. The fastest growing percentage-wise of immigrants coming into America today are Islamic. They're not doing as well as we'd hoped. They just are not. And it's just painful. I wish it were different, Steve. I just wish it was, but it's not different. And 90% of those who entered from 2000 through 2009 through 2014 are on food stamps today from Islamic countries. I don't know why that is, but it's not a healthy thing. We're just not doing well here. Many of them are successful, but a lot are more than we like to admit are not doing well. So I think it's time to think this thing through, evaluate how things are going, and put first the interest of the people of the United States.
You said the other day, before I let you go, you said that we're going to continue to have these attacks. I mean, you almost sound like Cassandra, right? But we know we had San Bernardino, we had Garland, Texas, we had Chattanooga. Now we've got these young kids butchered in this nightclub. You say this is going to continue to happen. What do you think we have to do? What actions can this audience help do? Because look, we've had full phones on a Sunday night since we started the show. People are outraged by this. They are outraged by this, and they're outraged by the way it's being presented, and they're outraged by the milquetoast Republicans as personified by Romney in this crowd up in Utah. They're outraged by it. What can people do so that we don't have it happen again?
Well, I think we need to think clearly and not just react frustratedly, and put the pressure on Republicans and Democrats. But you would think Republicans would understand this better and be more responsive than we have been, I'll acknowledge. So I think people do need to keep that pressure on. But Steve, look, we are seeing an upsurge in extremism within the Muslim world. This expert witness after expert witness, I've asked them all this question. Are we talking about decades of this, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years? The answer is yes, 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 all of them. So the idea that we're going to have one quick victory and this is going to be over is not correct. We're facing a decade-long surge of extremism that has got to be resisted intellectually. It's got to be resisted on the Internet. It's got to be resisted militarily, ideologically, in every way we confront it. And if we do that smartly, realistically, tough, we can prevail and minimize the damage that we're going to have. We don't have this in Congress or the certainly not in the executive branch right now, a clear enough understanding of it.
Senator Sessions, there's no doubt in my mind that the good people of Alabama that send you back to the Senate have that grit and determination. There's no doubt in my mind that the people listening to the show that are calling in tonight, where they could be doing other things on the phone, the 2.5 million people every day that go to the pages of Breitbart, and the other people, I have no doubt they have the grit, the perseverance, the determination, and the tenacity to win this. But do you believe that our elites, our cultural, our financial, our entertainment, our political, our educational, do you believe the elites in this country have the backbone, have the belief in the underlying principles of the Judeo-Christian West to actually win this war?
I'm worried about that. Matter of fact, I'm losing great confidence that our elites, as you described them, do not operate sufficiently in the real world. And it's a dangerous thing. And they're eroding regularly, it seems to me, classical American values that are so critical to our success. And so it's a big problem. Ultimately, if we don't have the leadership elites of a nation, any nation does not have strength in those categories of people, the nation is going to be damaged by it. Now, I would just say this. What can you do about it? We need to elect a president who understands it. That's a deciding issue in this election. We need to make sure the presidential candidate who is elected understands the threat and is willing to take action to protect the republic. That's so basic, but we have an opportunity this time, I think, to make a difference.
Senator Sessions of Alabama, thank you very much for taking time away from your family, sir. I know you get very little time with them. Thank you so much for taking time on a Sunday to join us.
Thank you.